Breading, whether it's meat, whether it's vegetables, anything like that. Breading is something that will enable us to lock in flavor, make a nice little crust on the outside, as well as add a little bit of moisture to it as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our chicken here. Now you can use this with vegetables, you can use this with meat, but for this purpose we're going to use chicken. Now with our chicken, what I'm going to do first is you'll notice that our chicken breast on this side is a little bit thin. On this side as well, and it's a little bit thick up here. We want it to be nice and consistent throughout. If it's not consistent throughout, the problem that happens is that one side gets done before the other, and then one side is real dry and one side is perfect. So let's make it nice and consistent throughout. So what we'll do is we'll take our chicken breasts, we put them on top of the plastic, and then we throw another sheet of plastic on top of this. This is so that when we're pounding this out, we don't have chicken flying all over the place. We'll take our meat mallet, or a lot of times I've used like a heavy duty pan or something to pound this out. So the thicker part here, just hit till it gets nice and pounded out. Now you'll notice on this one, it's nice and consistent throughout. Now you can really see the difference between the two of them when you look at them side by side. One pounded, one not. So we'll go ahead and pound this other one. Okay, now at this point they're both pounded out, they're both nice and uniform in shape. So we'll take the plastic off the top and then we'll start our breading procedure. Standard breading procedure is seasoned flour, and when I say seasoned, we're going to go with our salt and pepper. And you always want to make sure you do this. Whenever you season your flour, you always want to make sure that you season it so that it gets seasoned throughout the process, versus at the end when you try to season it and you just can't quite get it right. If you season throughout, then you should be just fine. So we'll do our seasoned flour there. And then we have our egg wash. All it is whole cracked eggs, just cracked in there and then whisked around a little bit. So it's kind of like if you were making scrambled eggs. Okay, and then we have our breadcrumbs. Now this right here is an Italian breadcrumb. So it's got little green flecks in it. The nice thing about an Italian breadcrumb is it also is seasoned just a little bit. They'll throw some Parmesan and some fresh herbs and things like that in it. If you buy the regular breadcrumbs, that's fine. You'll probably need to season them a little bit. So we'll take our chicken here. And the first step is we'll go right into the flour. So we're getting it nice and floury. We want to coat the entire thing. And then we want to go from the flour, we want to go into the eggs. So flour, egg wash, get it totally covered, and then go into the breadcrumbs. So flour, egg, breadcrumbs. It's important that you go in that order because the flour makes the egg stick and the egg makes the breadcrumb stick. So after it's totally coated there, then we can go into a nice hot pan. Now in this pan, I have a combination of canola oil and butter. The reason that is that butter has a very low smoke point because it's an animal fat, which means that at a very somewhat low temperature, cooking-wise, it'll start to smoke, it'll start to break down. Canola oil will actually raise that temperature up though because it's got a higher smoke point itself, so I can get the pan hotter and still get that butter flavor without burning it. So we'll take our chicken and we'll go right into this hot pan. And you'll notice that when you go into the pan, it should kind of start to bubble on the outside. That's exactly what you want. That means that your oil is hot enough. If you need to test your oil before then because you can't really tell, if you get your fingers just a little bit damp and then just kind of flick the water in there, if it spits up, then it's ready. If it doesn't, then it's not. You don't want to add too much water to it though, otherwise the oil will start to spray everywhere and it's a big mess and it's also very dangerous. So as you're cooking your chicken, it's anytime an item is breaded, you always want to look for a golden brown. Golden brown is the key color to pretty much anything breaded and most cooking in general. That's kind of the typical or the standard that we go for is a nice golden brown. So if we have our chicken here and we turn it over, you'll notice that it's coming to a nice golden brown, especially around the edges and things. Now what will happen is if you have a very, very thick piece of meat, it may not cook all the way in the pan, or it might get real dark on the outside and not be done on the inside. So we want to keep it nice and consistent throughout, keep that nice golden brown color. So as working in hotels and restaurants, what we used to do is we would take this and we would pan fry it just like this, and then if it wasn't done all the way, we would put it on a sheet pan and then we would finish it in the oven at a later time or right then if we were cooking up on the lines. That way it cooked throughout, but we kept that nice golden brown color on the outside. Okay, once it's nice and golden brown on both sides, that's the point that you can take it out and cut into it and be ready to eat it. You can do this, remember, you can do this for vegetables, you can do this for any type of meat, and you can also do it for fruit if you really wanted to. Maybe using a different kind of breadcrumb, like a corn flake or a panko breadcrumb, which is a big, thicker breadcrumb. All those work out really well. All those things can definitely be done. You're just taking the principles that you're learning and you're applying them to whatever you want to cook.